Good afternoon. I'm Detective Sam Lebowitz with the DLI, Department of Lacrosse Investigations. I'm in Syracuse today to investigate reports of stolen identity. One of the nation's historic lacrosse programs is believed to be missing. When these reports came across our dashboard, I couldn't believe my eyes. There's no way that the real Syracuse men's lacrosse team lost again. There's no way the real SU lost 6 in a row to finish the year. There's no way the real SU lost 10 games in one season. In over 100 years of team history, they've never lost double-digit games. That's why me and my forensic analysts are here to get to the bottom of this. And we're doing it on Orange Press Pass, recapping SU and Notre Dame on the season's final day. Cue the music one last time on OPP. It's mercifully over. An 18-11 loss to Notre Dame closes the Syracuse men's lacrosse season, and the final Orange Press Pass closes up shop. I'm Sam Lebowitz with John Eads and Ben Spector, taking you guys through everything that happened today. John, Ben, I know you guys have a lot of thoughts on Syracuse lacrosse in general, lots to talk about. We'll talk big picture more later, but for this game, give me your first thoughts. Get mad if you need to, John.
Oh, man, I am fuming right now because Syracuse got absolutely destroyed today. And to nobody's surprise, the Kavanaughs had their fingerprints all over this one. 4 goals for Pat Cavanaugh, 5 assists as well. His brother Chris had 2 goals and 2 assists. This guy just dominates Syracuse every single time he takes the field against them. And it hurts because he's from Long Island. He played at Chaminade High School. It's a guy that Syracuse should have recruited and had at SU. But the number that sticks out, 37 points in 4 career games against SU, another big one today.
I'm so passionate. I love Long Island too, but when the final whistle blew, my first thought was it's finally over. The worst season in Syracuse men's lacrosse since 2007, not making the NCAA tournament after all the hype with Gary Gait coming in as the head coach. He's going to rejuvenate the program after last season where they lost in the first round. So it's over now because it was just an abysmal season, and I'm very happy that it's over.
So let's see how it went down at the Dome today in the final game here on Senior Sunday at the Dome. And let's check out Gary Gait's Season 1 finale, first quarter. And it's going to be David Lipka with the opening salvo, getting it past Harrison Thompson to give Notre Dame an early lead. They wouldn't give it back. Second quarter, it's the younger Cavanaugh, Chris, falling down the score. It's 8-2 there on that goal by Chris. After a scoring drought, SU mounting a small comeback. Tucker Dordovic cutting that Notre Dame lead in half to 8-4. Wouldn't get all that much closer to the second half. Quite the day for the elder Cavanaugh as well. I think you'll see Pat Cavanaugh, number 51 there, whips one out wide for the score with a man up for Notre Dame. Going to move on to the fourth quarter, and Cavanaugh again, a highlight reel goal. He was incredible today. For SU, the storyline was Brendan Curry. That goal right there tied his dad, Todd Curry, for 7th most goals in SU history. That was the tying shot. There's the go-ahead shot. They go back-to-back. Points up at dad. The go-ahead score in the record books for SU. The final tally, who but Pat Cavanaugh. Again, an 18-11 loss for SU on the season's final day. Guys?
Yeah, I mean, Notre Dame dominated on the stat sheet. It really wasn't this close. Like, Syracuse was kind of in the game all day. They were down 4 or 5 goals. It just never really felt that way. I said it before, Pat Cavanaugh had his fingerprints all over this game. He also had a lot of other players step up. Notre Dame had 11 different goal scorers in this matchup, so it wasn't all about Cavanaugh. Those 5 assists, though, he really set other players up very well.
You talk about Notre Dame and you look at this game, 18-11 loss, and you think, where are the positives? I'll tell you the positives. Jackson Burtwhistle, another 3-goal performance. He's really stepped up as of late, and it showed today. Even though Syracuse lost by 7, he stepped up in a grand way.
And we're joined by the incredible Braden Reed from outside the Dome today. Braden, a historic way to finish the season for SU. The first 10-loss season in more than a century of program history. Not exactly history you want to make. Was that history acknowledged post-game? And if they did acknowledge it, how so?
Yeah, Sam, you said it. Not the way you want to end the year, but it was actually not brought up in the post-game press conference. Head coach Gary Gait just talked about the heart and really the grit that this team has showed all year long. Said the record is what it is. Obviously, you'd like a few more wins, maybe make the tournament. But at the end of the day, this team has been through a lot this year, and they've showed a lot of heart, grit, like I said, and that was the biggest thing that Gait was talking about.
So much for taking the time. It's no secret that Notre Dame has dominated Syracuse recently, now 5 straight wins. And I think the biggest reason why is the differences in both teams' defensive units. So today, from your vantage point, what was the difference between Notre Dame's defensive unit versus Syracuse? What are the Orange not doing that the Fighting Irish are?
John, the biggest thing that I noticed was how well Notre Dame played on the picks. Their communication was incredible, and that's something that Syracuse has been trying to do on offense all season long. They use those picks, a lot of them, to try and get Brendan Curry, Tucker Dordevic open looks, but Notre Dame's communication on the defensive end, how they handled those pick plays, and they were just talking, picks coming left, picks coming right, and when they switched when they needed to. So the defensive communication, I'd say, from Notre Dame is what set them ahead today.
Hey, Braden, huge fan of your work. Hope the weather's treating you nice. But in the last game of the regular season, lots of new looks, lots of new players got some playing time. Do you think Gary Gait was testing things out for next season, and was it successful?
Ben, I'll tell you what, that means the world coming from you, but I wouldn't say that he was testing things out today. It was more so like you still want to try and win this lacrosse game, and that's what they were trying to do, but I wouldn't say they were testing things out, but you talked about it earlier. Jackson Birtwistle, a fantastic day from him, 8 goals in his last 2 games. I think it's his 4th straight game with multiple goals. So that kind of performance going forward is going to be huge for Syracuse into the next few years. And on the defensive end, Sam Alexo, he's been fantastic this year, was again today. Really a great anchor of that defensive unit. Only a sophomore with the Brett Kennedy moving on. He's definitely going to be looked to as a guy to step up. There's just a lot of young guys on this team that are getting really valuable experience in games like these. So going forward, that's going to play a huge role.
All right, thanks, Braden and Reed, and congrats on a really nicely done, well-done job this season alongside Nick Luttrell and Jesse Cook. When we roll on here on Orange Press Pass, we're breaking down what exactly went wrong today and giving this season's final player of the game. Stay tuned on OPP.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the final OPP of the semester. Sam Lebowitz alongside John Eads, Ben Spector. The Orange falling to Notre Dame for a 5th straight time, 18-11. A record 10th loss for an SU program that has never broken double digits in a season. And guys, in this one, the Orange really couldn't get it going for much of that first half against an always dominant Notre Dame defense. It included a 13-minute and 17-second stretch in which they did not score a single goal between the first and second quarter. During that stretch, it became from a 3-2 Notre Dame lead to an 8-2 Notre Dame lead. And John, how did the Irish shut down the SU offense today?
Well, I would argue that it was more of Liam Entenmann shutting down the Notre Dame the Syracuse offense. The guy was unbelievable in cage. Notre Dame's defense actually, I think, kind of struggled today. They allowed Syracuse to get a lot of open looks on goal, but the Orange's game plan coming in was force-feeding shots on goal. Every opportunity they had, if they had an open look, they had their hands free, they were shooting it on cage, but Entenmann stopped everything, and he shut down Tucker Dordevic. He had 6 shots today. 8 of those went on goal, and he stopped all but 2 of those. He mitigated Syracuse's best player on offense. I think that was the difference, and on top of that, SU was 0 for 5 on extra man offense today. They didn't get anything in the special teams. They needed that in this game.
And it was just simple fundamentals on offense that they weren't really doing well, SU that is. And aside from that first half in the Cornell game, I know I'm thinking big picture here, depth scoring is just lacking. It's nowhere. Birtwistle, Curry, Dordovic, Siebold are the only players taking shots, and they're not even great shots at that. Shots from odd angles that are constantly wide. Entenmann had a great game, don't get me wrong, a career-high 22 saves, but at the end of the day, the offense was just stagnant, and that's not going to get you anywhere. And I know Syracuse is not playing for anything in this one, but you'd like to see some jump offensively, and it just wasn't there today from your blue-chip offensive players.
So more Entenmann necessarily than the Notre Dame defense today, but you mentioned the shots. SU shot themselves in the foot quite a lot in this game. There was poor communication all over the field by SU. It's been something that's plagued them all season. It plagued them again today. Excuse me, Ben.
And defensively, there were just so many holes, Sam. I mean, it was ridiculous. On the second goal, Kakemo jumped up, left a wide-open Notre Dame player for a goal, and Sam Alexo staying too far away from his man, not leading to, leading to a Notre Dame goal. Jerry Stotts comes in. I know he's not really an experienced player. He's lost defensively too many moments on the defensive end where there's a goal, and Brett Kennedy is looking around asking what went wrong. Well, no one's in the right spot. That's exactly what went wrong, and that's due to a lack of communication. And John, that's something that you don't really want to see. You never want to see it this late in the season.
Not at all, and we've seen it all season. It hasn't changed. When you watch these highlights, I think of the Tower of Babylon, when everybody was speaking different languages. There were 1,000 different languages being spoken by different people. This team doesn't know how to communicate. They don't know how to switch. They don't know how to replace each other. It's team lacrosse. It's not about just one player. I know Nick Kakemo, we're going to talk a lot about him later, but you need all 6 players on your defensive unit to work in unison. That just doesn't happen. It hasn't happened all season. SU's allowed 19 goals per game in the 5 straight losses to Notre Dame. But it's not just a Notre Dame problem, it's a whole team problem. There's been no improvement all year, and they're being coached by one of the best defensive minds in lacrosse. So I don't really understand how they can be this bad. This is basic fundamental stuff from day one.
You would think with Petramala that this defense would know the fundamentals of lacrosse, especially this late.
I don't know how much of a Petramala thing it is. This is just stuff that you should know as a lacrosse player at a D1 level.
I agree.
All right, guys, so today was the season's final day. It was senior day at the Dome. And first of all, congrats to Brendan Curry, who passed his dad in career goals at SU. Curry, Brett Kennedy, Connor Siebold among those seniors that are heading out after today. A talented class and really the last guard of the John Desko era. John, how will we remember this class?
It's a foundational class. You heard Gary Gates say it after the game. This is the class that's going to lay the future for what Syracuse will have in years to come. We don't know what that future is going to look like because, I don't know, I mean, this year didn't exactly give me a whole lot of promise for what Gary Gates is going to do in the future. But I hate to be disappointing and I hate to be a Debbie Downer here, but this was a very disappointing class. You had so many former top 100 recruits that just simply didn't pan out at Syracuse. Lucas Quinn, former top 20 recruit. Owen Siebold, former top 20 recruit. He didn't do anything until this past season, and he wouldn't have done anything if not for Chase Scanlon's dismissal from the team. Those 2 guys were ranked ahead of Tucker Dordovic, who is the team leader for this squad. Then you got Brendan Curry, who was number 49. He definitely panned out. Nick DiPietro was the 40th ranked recruit in the 2016 class. He didn't play like it all this season. He had some good years in the past, but he was injured this year. And then you got guys like Jacob Buttermore, Grant Murphy, and Jacob Falk. For Buttermore, I thought he had a good career. Murphy, not so much. And then Jacob Falk was just the heart and soul of this team at the face-off deck. So, I don't know. I think disappointment is my first word.
Disappointment, I agree. When you look at team success with these seniors on the roster, aside from that 20-25 game stretch, let's just throw that out the window. Not relevant. But Owen Siebold came on late. Last year, a very disappointing season. A lot of hype for that team going into the year, and the defense really struggled, let Drake Porter down. This year, 4-10, 6 straight losses. Nothing to be proud of if you're a senior. I understand individually they got some accolades. Brett Kennedy, 3-time All-American. Jacob Fopp, second in the ACC in face-off percentage, but Fopp wasn't that clutch. So the seniors, they should be proud of what they did at Syracuse from an individual standpoint. I know the whole recruit thing, you got great numbers. I'm a huge fan of your statistics. But at the end of the day, team success was just not there with this class.
All right, guys. First of all, congrats to the seniors graduating. Congrats to the Curry family and to Pat Cavanaugh on his 9 points today. But there was really only one choice for player of the game today. It was Liam Entenmann. He was incredible in the cage for Notre Dame today. Came into the game 6th in the nation in save percentage, and that only went up. A season high in saves for Entenmann with 22. Ben, he was a brick wall.
And he was making acrobatic saves left and right. It wasn't one of those things where Syracuse just kept shooting at him. Yes, they did. I mean, there were some saves where he didn't really have to move, but 22 total saves, a career high. And John, this comes as no surprise because he leads the ACC in save percentage, 6th in the country with that mark. So Entenmann was really the guy to look out for Notre Dame, and he just stopped that Syracuse offense.
This is what Syracuse needs if it wants to be in Notre Dame's position. We're going to get into goalie play later and what's coming back for this SU team, but there's just a big difference between the top and the bottom. And Entenmann's at the top. Here, Syracuse's Harrison Thompson and Bobby Gavin, they're at the bottom.
Love Entenmann's donuts, by the way.
All right, guys, when OPP rolls on, we're saying goodbye to the 2022 lacrosse roster and building 2023s the way we want to see it. Will it be better on paper than this year's? Find out next on Orange Press Pass.
Dad, they took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
OTN is on all your favorite apps: Apple TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Search Orange Television Network or OTN. OTN has its best shows, short films, and CitrusTV on demand. Family and friends can watch OTN too. Watch the live stream of OTN to catch live CitrusTV news, live from Studio B, and mornings on the Hill. On or off campus, watch OTN anywhere.
So the SU season came to a close today with an 18-11 loss at the hands of Notre Dame. Many would say good riddance. This season brought the first 10-game losing record in SU program history. They missed the playoffs for the first time since 2007. So John and Ben, you guys want to change some things. Some seniors going out, some newbies coming in. Let's build the 2023 Orange roster. We'll start with the man in the cage. Few spots more important on the field than the goalie. And this year, SU split time between Harrison Thompson and Bobby Gavin. Next year, Ben, who gets the lion's share of time in the net?
That's like the million-dollar question from this season, right? But my answer, and John's answer as well, is Harrison Thompson. Yes, he's maybe worse in every statistical category compared to Bobby Gavin with around a 40% save percentage mixed in there, but he's a homegrown player and he should lead the charge next season.
I don't really care about the stats because Gavin started a majority of the games this year. What I do care about is he started the last game of the season. I think that says a lot to me. Coming back next year, he'll build on what he did this season. Let's not forget, he's a former top 100 recruit, understudied at Drake Porter, and this defense was so bad this year. Like, he came in relief in a lot of these games where he saw time where Syracuse was already getting blown out. So I think Harrison Thompson comes back strong next season. That defense, we're going to talk about in just a few seconds here. I don't know how much better that's going to get, but it was really his first opportunity to get in the field and be baptized by fire this season. So he can only improve with that experience that he got this year. I think he's your starter. Bobby Gavin did not prove anything to me this season.
I agree.
All right, so we're building out the depth chart, put Thompson on the board for goalie. Now the guys who are going to protect him in net. We've got 3 spots on defense. We've got 3 defensive middies too. John, who do we have moving on?
Well, you've got Nick Kakemo on defense, and that's pretty much it. I mean, there's some massive question marks surrounding the rest of this unit. You got Nick Happney, a guy who came in from Utah last year, saw a little bit of time in 2021, did a lot of starting with the Utes. And then Nick Fratarigo, a guy that came from the Heights to the Hill from Lemoyne. He started the first 3 games of the season, didn't really see a whole lot of him from there. I'm going to be honest, though, he's more of an LSM type player, and Happney's a question mark. We haven't seen what he can do at Syracuse. So Kakemo's the one guy, that's why he's front and center. He'll be the leader of this unit. They got to maybe go to the transfer portal, though, and find some other players because I don't know about Happney and Fratarigo.
Kakemo is the guy. He led the team in caused turnovers. He is second in the ACC in caused turnovers. He had a 3-game stretch where he caused 10 total turnovers, roughly around 3 per game. He had 3 against Notre Dame today and 3 ground balls. He's third on the team in that category, but he's a redshirt freshman. That's not talked about enough. He started his career at Yale, no season for the Ivy League last year, transfers over to Syracuse, and he's their best defender by far. Not Grant Murphy, not Sam Alexo, who I know is a defensive midfielder. It's Nick Kakemo, because he's just that guy. He's taking offensive players to the dry cleaners. He's so aggressive out there. He is just the best defender, and he will be next season.
So 2 question marks at close defense for Syracuse, but 2 returners at short stick defensive midi. You've got Brandon Aviles, you've got Carter Rice back. I think 2 of the stronger players in the ACC, and they're also 2 younger guys. Aviles will be coming back for actually what will be his senior season. Carter Rice, just a freshman this year. He showed a lot both defensively and in transition with the offense. So you're pretty good at short stick defensive midi next year.
All right, so let's move to the middle of the field. We'll start building up that offense. I think this is where we're gonna see some star power, right, Ben?
Oh, absolutely. Have you ever heard of the name? I don't know. It just came to my mind. Tucker Dordevic.
I think so.
He was on attack this season. He's actually a midfielder at heart. He goes back to the midfield next season because of Owen Hiltz and Joey Spallina. We'll talk about them in just a moment. But Dordevic, what more is there to say, right? 47 goals this year, a real comeback year for Dordevic. He put the offense on his back.
Most goals by a Syracuse player in a single season since 2015. This guy could play anywhere in the field, but Syracuse really needs him at midfield, and this is where he's meant to play. He came into Syracuse, started 15 games at mid as a true freshman. That was the most by any true frosh in a decade. He was an All-American in 2020 after missing a 2019 season with an injury, and then last year a third-team All-American, led all SU midfielders with 31 points and 23 goals. So he's meant to play midfield, and he's going to fill the shoes of Brendan Curry, who's on his way out.
He also scores over 3 goals per game. That's an unbelievable stat, and he's no longer going to have to put the offense on his back next season because of the star power that they're going to have.
Right, so we can move Dordevic back from attack to midfield, which opens up some space on the attack. We can go there now. This category is going to have some interesting names. Ben, you alluded to it, a recent breakout. I think we're going to talk about a missing returner and an incoming stud. John, where do we start with this attack?
Let's start with Jackson Birtwistle, because shout out to this guy. He is the only reason why Tucker Dordevic can go back to midfield. This guy was an injection of life for Syracuse down the stretch, and it opens up possibilities to make this offense even more dangerous. So I think you're going to have Jackson Birtwistle playing right wing, Joey Spallina, the incoming 5-star true freshman. He's wearing number 22. He's going to be running the offense from X. And then Owen Hiltz, remember this guy? He didn't play this season because he got injured preseason in the scrimmage, but was dominant in his freshman season, scored 29 goals. He'll be back. You've got everything you want. You got the Dodger, the cutter, and the goal scorer, and this guy's the do-it-all player. You got everything.
You gotta remember Owen Hiltz is on this team. He's only 5'8". Hey, John, short people matter too, right? 29 goals 2 years ago, rather. He's a quick guy, elusive, and he knows how to get the job done for his Syracuse offense.
Okay, guys, so we've gone through all the positions. Let's throw up the full roster on the board. And let's see it. John, is this a better lacrosse team than the 2022 squad?
You know what? I think it is, but there's still a lot of weaknesses, okay? So I think on offense, what you have is good. You've got Birtwistle, you got Spallina. The attack is solidified. At midfield, I like Griffin Cook. He switched from attack to midfield, got injured, and he's going to miss the first couple of games of next year as well. But this is a solid first line. Tyler Cortez looked good in his freshman season. We talked about the short stick defensive middies. Sam Alexo was decent this year, but I don't think he's the answer at long stick midi, but he's going to have to be. And then defensively, like I said, question mark, question mark. And then I really think they got to maybe attack the transfer portal to maybe find a goalie. But if not, Harrison Thompson, I think, was good enough to potentially get the start. This is a solid team. I think it's better than 4 wins.
I think it's better than 4 wins, absolutely. But any point from here on is a question.
Well, hold on.
What?
Yeah.
I said that here on.
So you got to include Dordevic in there.
Oh, well, Dordevic's not a question mark. But the thing is, the attack is incredible. Birtwistle came on late in the season. Spallina, the hype is worth it, folks. He's going to be incredible at X. And then Owen Hiltz, he's back. So that threesome plus Dordevic at the top, where he's naturally born to play, is just a great moment for the Syracuse offense next year.
All right, guys, looks like an interesting squad, some question marks, but some fun players to watch. We're almost done here on the final Orange Press Pass of the semester. When we come back to wrap things up, we'll wrap around the ACC and give our final thoughts on a disappointing SU season. Stay tuned.
Dad,
Just 1 minute, okay?
hey Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out?
Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look. Let's close up shop on Orange Press Pass. Sam Lebowitz with John Eads and Ben Spector. Syracuse falling to Notre Dame in the season finale, 18-11. Guys, let's take a look around the ACC one final time. Look at the challenges that SU dealt with this year. John, what are your thoughts looking at this?
Well, what I see is that Notre Dame is in the second spot. They're the 6th-ranked team in the nation, and they may still not make the NCAA tournament, which is unbelievable. They're going to take on Duke in their season finale. Those two going to battle it out to be the second representative from the conference in the ACC. But, I mean, you look at this. There's clearly an elite upper tier, and that's UVA and Notre Dame. Duke's kind of in the middle. Remember, Syracuse beat Duke, so that tells you everything you need to know. And then they played North Carolina pretty well as well. But it's a very top-heavy conference this season.
Notre Dame might be the best 7-4 team there ever was in college lacrosse. An incredible team. Like you said, 6th ranked. They might not even make the tournament. Still questions there, but I'll say it. I'm coming in hot. North Carolina's a bunch of frauds. That's it. Chris Gray is their only good player. Syracuse almost beat them if it wasn't for a Kakemo turnover, which was ridiculous. So North Carolina is going to make the tournament 8-5. They're a good team. I just think that they're frauds and they're not going to really make it far after that.
Interesting takes here. I think Duke's got a chance to win the whole thing. Before we ship off after today's game, I like with the hot take every once in a while. After today's game and with the season in general, guys, what are your final thoughts on the Syracuse men's lacrosse team, John?
Well, Syracuse has a lot to work to do. I think that was pretty obvious what you saw today. You saw one of the best teams in the ACC and the worst team in the ACC, and it's kind of been the same thing all season. But there's a couple of things that SU needs to do this offseason to be good next year. That's really where next year's going to be won. It's in the offseason. Syracuse needs to attack the transfer portal. They got a guy like Nick Kakemo out of there last year from an Ivy League school. They got to do the same to fill some needs at defense, which Ben and I just talked about quite a bit. The defense was bad all season, and they lost their best players. So you can imagine how things are going to go next year for them. And they just got to fill a lot of holes. So I think the guys coming in next year's recruiting class, guys like Joey Spallina, Billy DeWan on defense, Carter Kempe in midfield, Jimmy McCool, heck of a name in goalie. Those guys need to be the real deal.
All right. You brought your pessimism in a little bit, saying they got a lot of work to do. I'm going to bring some confidence into this because I'm a confident guy.
That's right.
Fans, do not worry. Syracuse will be just fine. Spallina's coming in. He's legit. Owen Hiltz is coming back. We just went over it. This team is here. Gary Gates, one of the greatest coaches there is in lacrosse. Petramel is a great defensive coordinator, and Syracuse will be back.
All right, guys, before we go, our producer, Lucas Vogel, has set aside some time so that I can say a quick goodbye. When Lucas told me he wanted me to do the last OPP this semester, it was a no-brainer. To finish my CitrusTV career with two of my best friends means so much to me. So to Lucas and to Leo Silverman, thank you guys for the chance to finish strong. To John and Ben, thanks for doing it with me. You guys are fantastic analysts. I'm proud to do my last show alongside two of the station's best. This station means the world to me. Between sports, entertainment, and news, there are so many people that I'm proud to have worked with and so many shows I'm proud to have worked on. It's been an absolute honor to have been part of the greatest TV station, student-run TV station in the nation. So thank you for the final time. For John Eads, Ben Spector, I've been Sam Lebowitz. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next season on Orange Press Pass. It has truly been the honor of a lifetime to share the airwaves with you. Good night.